What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another brand new tier list, kind of. I'm going back and I'm redoing a tier list for my MCU movies. There's been a lot of movies here I have seen again since the last time I did my tier list over 6 months ago. There's obviously movies that have came out. There's movies that weren't even on the last tier list. So I'm just going to get on into it again. Some of my opinions will have changed. Some will be even more rubber stamped. But we're just going to get on into it. We're going to try and do it in order of phases, just like last time. It's going to be a lot quicker than last time as well, because I think the last video took over 45 minutes. That will not be happening. So we're just going to get on into it. We'll stick straight back to the start. Incredible Hulk, Edward Norton, F. Don't like it. Never have liked it. Not even going to get into it. What do you call it? What's his name? Mark Ruffalo is a way better Hulk than Edward Norton. I don't care what anybody says. I just didn't like the movie. Maybe the CGI nobs wasn't up to scratch at that point, because the CGI jump from the Incredible Hulk of the Hulk to even Avengers 1, the CGI jump is insane. So that's where I'm at on that. Iron Man 1, S tier. Oh, chill your next. S tier, even with Terrence Howard. Absolutely S tier. Without this movie, there is no MCU in my opinion. If this had flopped, there is no MCU in my opinion. Because Disney weren't going to keep taking that risk with both these movies were crumbling. Sure, you know yourself, Incredible Hulk didn't actually do very well, so that is what it is. We'll just go Iron Man 2 if we can find it. Where is Iron Man 2? I have found the third one, but there it is, our Iron Man 2 E. That's the jump. They tried to rush Iron Man 2 too much. It could had the potential to be a good story, but the script was rushed. Nobody was ready for it. They wanted it out before the first Avengers movie, which I find strange, because like Captain America and Thor both only got one movie each. So it is a bit of a strange one. I don't like it. I'll move it up to D, because I did really like Sam Rockwell's performance as Hammer. But apart from that, and to be fair, Don Cheadle, he did do a good job coming in and taking over as Rhodey. But apart from that, I didn't like Mickey Rourke as the bad guy. I thought Robert Downey Jr. was a bit phoned in. That's not really his fault, because like, he didn't have much time to get used to this resurgence essentially. Whereas for the original Thor movie, I'm going to put it at C. It's not the best movie. It just isn't. Chris Hemsworth was definitely, he's essentially in the midst of becoming a star. This was his first movie. I thought it was a good enough movie. I'd still rewatch it. Tom Hiddleston was fantastic as Loki is in every film. It was actually good to see Anthony Hopkins as Odin in this movie. Jane Foster was just iffy. I don't really like Jane Foster in any movie bar Love and Thunder, which is strange because it's the worst Thor movie. Well, I was about to say it's the worst Thor movie. It isn't. Trust me, we'll get there. Where's Captain America? Captain America, the first Avenger. It's an A film in my opinion. It is close to S tier. Do not get me wrong. It is so close to the S tier. But it runs a bit long. But I love the whole setting of in the World War. I love the technology they used to make Chris Evans look like a skinny kid, but essentially because that boy is built. I actually put it up to S tier, to be honest. I do love Red Skull. I love Hugo Weaving's performance of Red Skull. I think Bucky Barnes is brilliant in it. I don't really have a flaw, bar that it was a bit too long. I'm going to keep it an A. It's fair to keep it an A. Out of the three Captain America movies, it's probably the weakest, but that does not mean it's not a top tier film. Then we rounded off that with the first Avengers movie. S tier. Absolutely S tier. Easily all day. Even despite Joss Whedon. Because honestly, Joss Whedon, I know we look back then, it was like, oh, Joss Whedon did a perfect superhero movie. And then he tried to copy and paste that into Justice League. But like Avengers 1 probably needed his input in terms of like jokes and all to like lighten the load, because you've got an Asgardian warrior like talking to Tony Stark, who's just going to make jokes constantly, so he did have to have a bit of comedy in there. But like moving on, like he definitely wasn't the guy to go forward with it. On to phase 2, I think Iron Man 3 was the first thing out. I'm going to put that at B. I actually liked Iron Man 3, to be honest. It's like you can definitely feel it's a different style of movie. You obviously Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark is going through trauma from what happened in the Battle of New York, which you would obviously a bit of PTSD. I thought everybody was fantastic in it. Didn't like the Mandarin twist. Let's be honest. If the Mandarin twist wasn't in there, we could be looking at an A. But like overall, it was a good movie. Like we can't be too harsh on it. The MCU was starting to really get into its stride here, so I'll let it off with the whole Mandarin twist in the end. We got Guardians of the Galaxy S tier, absolutely S tier. This isn't in any order, but I might order them at the end. Guardians of the Galaxy 1 S tier movie, 100%, not even a doubt in my mind. I thought it was absolutely perfect. Everything about it to this day, it's still a movie I can put on at any time and watch. And I actually did delay watching this for so long, and I really regret it. But it is a brilliant, brilliant movie. Ant-Man 1, it's an A movie for me. I love Ant-Man, I really do. I thought it was a fantastic movie. Paul Rudd is fantastic in anything he does, but Paul Rudd was amazing in this. You actually even got a good performance out of Michael Douglas, which is a big rarity nowadays. Hope Van Dyne, who's it? Evangeline Lilly. She was okay, to be honest. I don't think she's that good of an actress. Not to sound harsh, but she was okay in this. And obviously his crew were absolutely fantastic and hilarious per usual. We're missing Captain America Winter Soldier. Right, let's get ready. S tier all day long and twice on Sundays. I still think this is possibly my favourite Marvel movie. Like, out of everything, not just MCU, I think this is my favourite Marvel movie. They took such a swing making this a spy thriller. They really, an espionage spy thriller. That's why the Russos got, this is why the Russos got Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame, because they showed not only are we good directors, we can take a swing in a world full of Marvel movies, make something completely outside the box, and it can be one of the best things you've ever seen. This is the movie that non-MCU watchers can watch and be like, oh, that's a really cool movie. That's a really cool espionage movie. We're going to put this top for now out of all these guys, but it's absolutely iconic. For the Dark World, F. Join your buddy down here in F. For the Dark World is the only reason that this is not bottom of the bottom tier. Because honestly, it's so bad. Like what I said about Natalie Portman's Jane in the first movie, double down with it in this. It was so trash. Even Chris Hemsworth was trash in this movie. Tom Hiddleston was good. I actually think they had the right more parts in for him after his popularity in Avengers. Though, thank goodness you did, because honestly, if it was less Tom Hiddleston, this movie would have just got panned even more. It isn't even worth talking about anymore. I think, was that it in terms of Phase 2? No, we had Black Panther was Phase 3, wasn't it? Black Panther was Phase 3. Right, so Doctor Strange was Phase 2? No, Doctor Strange wasn't Phase 2. Right, so then we had Age of Ultron. Age of Ultron's always a tough one. I'm gonna put a B. It's a good movie. Like all your favorite characters are in it. It introduced Quicksilver and Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch, but they couldn't call them that because of a deal with Fox. Like James Spader did a fantastic job as Ultron. I think they went Ultron too early as the Avengers' second big threat. I think he was disposed of too easily. I did like Paul Bettany becoming Vision in true form. It could have been better. This is when I think people realise, yeah, Joss Whedon is just doing the same thing over and over and over again. Then he went from this, and then he just ripped apart the Justice League script and said, let's reshoot the whole thing in my image. That obviously failed. So it is what it is. B for an Avengers movie still isn't bad. It still made a good lot of money. So we're on to Phase 3 now. We'll go. What is next? We'll go Black Panther first. I say A. Like, obviously this was a big, iconic movie. It was a cultural, impactful movie at the time. It made over $1 billion. I think it was the first all full African American cast outside of it's not, is it Martin Freeman? Outside of him, everybody was African American. It's a very, very big movie. Chadwick Boseman, he honestly was the perfect choice to play Black Panther. Michael B. Jordan was absolutely perfect as Killmonger. The effects were a bit iffy. Maybe if the effects were a bit better, especially in that final battle, I think maybe we could have had an S tier movie. But Black Panther's still a very, very, very good movie. Doctor Strange 1, I actually love Doctor Strange 1. I actually would have it up here. Just the cinematography and the effects in Doctor Strange 1, I think, make it top-notch Marvel content. See, when you think that nobody knew who Doctor Strange was, similar to Guardians of the Galaxy from Phase 2, nobody knew who Doctor Strange was when this came out, and I think it made over 600 million. And it was a beautifully shot movie. I think Scott Derrickson shot it. Benedict Cumberbatch did a great job. Tilda Swinton was fantastic as the Ancient One. Mads Mikkelsen was okay. It's got a failing bad guy problem that a lot of these movies do have. Too many generic, easily to beat bad guys. He was okay. I think they should have saved Miles Mikkelsen for a bigger role, possibly maybe a future Doctor Doom variant or something. But we'll get into that at another time. Ant-Man and the Wasp. I'll go B. I liked it. A lot of people didn't. They thought it was starting to stray too much from the Ant-Man formula of like a heisty movie. And trust me, see, by the time we get down to Quantumania, like they haven't just veered off course. They've driven onto another motorway down the wrong lane. Because trust me, it gets a lot worse. But I did enjoy it. Now, I thought Ghost was a good bad guy. A lot of people didn't like her performance for some reason, but it is what it is. I know these movies come because Homecoming and Far From Home both took place in Phase 3, so I need to remember that. But I think Civil War was one of the later ones. It's easily S tier for me. Easily. Everything about this movie I loved. It's not as good as Winter Soldier, but they're both still 10 out of 10s for me. The airport battle alone is worth the price of your cinema ticket. Honestly, every single scene in that battle is unbelievable. It was also where we were introduced to Spider-Man, which was huge. First time we saw a giant man as well. So everything about this movie is fantastic. And also, we're talking about the bad guys there. Baron Zemo as the bad guy was perfection in this movie. He was set up as basically the puppeteer, controlling what the Avengers were going to do next to battle each other, and it worked perfectly. He essentially did win. He's like one of the only guys on this list, with the exception of Thanos and Infinity War, he actually won in that movie because he got what he wanted. The Avengers were split at the end of the movie. He did what he set out to do. Where was it? For Ragnarok. There it is there. For Ragnarok is... I'm going to say S tier as well. For Ragnarok, it's such a 180 from what Dark World was. Like, this was when they brought Taika in. They told him, we need you to make it funny, like put a bit of comedy into it. And he did. He definitely did put a bit of comedy into it, that's for sure. Obviously, it was his comedy, and then Kevin Feige was like reading him in a little bit. You can definitely tell. But the tone change was very much needed for 4. You needed to make him likeable again. You had Incredible Hulk in there. Loki finally got to be on the good side, despite his best efforts to backstab Thor. Heimdall got the most screen time that he's had since this franchise began. And then Kate Blanchett as the Goddess of Death, Hela, was unbelievable. Like, even in the What If episodes that they've been doing, where she becomes the Goddess of Life, she's been fantastic in my opinion. I'd love to see a variant of Hela come back at some point. Maybe even a Goddess of Life Hela in Secret Wars would be pretty cool. I think in Secret Wars a lot of What If characters are going to show up to help. Right, we've got Spider-Man Homecoming. I think it's an A film, to be honest. I think as a first Spider-Man movie in the MCU, it had a lot of pressure on it. I thought it delivered. I thought it was fantastic. I thought Michael Keaton was perfect choice to play the Vulture. I think everybody in the movie did their job perfectly. I think the whole RDJ, Downey Jr., Tony Stark looming over the movie as a mentor was needed for this. I think they should have started straying from that after this, but they didn't really for Far From Home. They just sort of replaced one mentor for another. But Tony Stark was sort of needed in this movie. But it was good to see Spider-Man do stuff on his own, and A is a very good rank for this. What else we got? Spider-Man Home. No, it's not Homecoming. Far From Home. I thought Far From Home was still a good film, despite them not moving away from the mentor thing. Obviously, you had Mysterio as the mentor this time. At the end of the day, it was still a very good movie. I thought Jake Gyllenhaal did a fantastic job. I don't think you needed Nick Fury in this at all. I really don't. It was a movie if he hadn't been in. I mean, Spider-Man had just been getting his orders with the sunglasses, getting orders from S.H.I.E.L.D. or something. It would have had the same impact. The whole Skrull reveal, I didn't really have any attachment to that at all. So I didn't really care, to be honest. But it was still a good movie, lots of funny scenes, and he finally got with his MJ, so that was good. Is that all the movies for? Yep, that's all the movies for Phase 3. We had Infinity War first, next. No, Guardians 2, what am I doing? Guardians 2. Guardians 2, I put it at A. It's not as good as the original. Most sequels aren't, unless you're Winter Soldier. I thought Kurt Russell did a very good job as Ego. I thought that Chris Pratt got to show off his acting chops a lot more in this movie. I did connect a lot more with some of the characters in this one than I did the previous one, especially like if Yondu. Like, spoiler alert, Yondu's sacrifice at the end of Guardians 2 is probably one of the most emotional things you've seen in a Marvel movie. So it was absolutely fantastic. Apart from that, it was just missing something. I don't know, I can't even put my finger up. It was missing something that made the first one good. It's sort of like they doubled down on like making it bigger, and they didn't really need to make it bigger. Guardians is already a big enough movie. Like, it's going to be guaranteed to make money as long as you get the writing and the directing proper, so it didn't need to go that crazy with it. But A's a pretty good rank. Like, you'll see very soon why it was so difficult for me to make a case of picking the best MCU trilogy, simply because there's two franchises, Captain America and Guardians, that have two of their movies in S tier and one their movie in A tier. Exactly the same, so you'll see that soon. Next up was Infinity War, because it came before Captain Marvel, so Infinity War is an S tier film. In a lot of people's opinion, Infinity War is better than Endgame. I don't know if I'm on that boat. I think it's a better movie, for sure. It's a way better, well constructed movie. I think the acting is top notch. The moments are so hard hitting. The likes of Thor arriving in Wakanda, the likes of Cap grabbing Thanos' hand, like the Spider-Man's Tom Holland's incredible acting, saying Tony Stark, I don't feel so good. It's just filled with moments. I think what does turn it to Endgame for a lot of people is the fact it's like how impactful the moments are. Like, we'll talk about Endgame in a second, but Infinity War is top notch MCU content for sure. Captain Marvel, I'm gonna go D. I still can rewatch the original Captain Marvel. I would probably rewatch Captain Marvel ahead of Iron Man 2. So yeah, we're gonna put that above that. I don't know what it is. I think it definitely benefited from Infinity War hype and the post-credit scene of Nick Fury calling somebody on the pager. Obviously we knew it was Captain Marvel, so people were going to flood to see Captain Marvel. If I told you that, like, say 7 of these movies on the list have made $1 billion and Captain Marvel was one of them, people would be like, what? People would not understand. I don't think it's Brie Larson's fault. I do not think it's her fault. I think the writing for the Captain Marvel movies has been terrible. I think the acting has been terrible. I think it's been sort of phoned in. I think if we saw a proper good movie, proper script, more physical effects, more built sets, not just a CGI fest, I think it would be a much better movie. But D is still rewatchable for me to a point. Then we got the big one, we got Endgame up here in S tier. We'll rearrange S tier at the end. It had everything you could want as an MCU fan. It took such big swings. Killing Thanos in the first 20 minutes, like, people were thought where's the movie gonna go? Like, doing a 6-year time jump. people couldn't believe it. Like going back in time, introducing time travel just to begin with. Like going back to scenes from the first Avengers movie, from Dark World, like from the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, just like popping back into them scenes was insane. It gave characters like Nebula the chance to grow, because the rest of the Guardians aren't around. She grew more and grew into an Avengers team, never mind just a Guardians team. Everything about it was perfect. The likes of Captain America, Colin Mjolnir, like on your left. You can't beat moments like that. You just can't. And I am Iron Man, obviously. The crown and jewel of Downey Jr.'s performance as Tony Stark was obviously sacrificing himself, and now as Doctor Doom he's coming back to end what he saved, which is a bit ironic, but that was unbelievable. Now that's the end of Phase 3. We're jumping into beyond Phase 3. I don't even want to say Phase 4 and 5 because I don't think this has went anywhere near the way Kevin Feige thought, but we'll get on into it. We'll try to keep it in order. I think this is in order, thankfully. Black Widow. Black Widow is Black Widow's an E. I don't think I put it an E last time. I really don't. But it can't justify it being higher. It did introduce Yelena. She's going to be a very big part of the MCU moving forward, I'm sure. But the CGI was terrible. The bad guy was terrible. They attempted character assassination on Taskmaster so hard. It's hard to even take her seriously by the time it comes to the Thunderbolts. It's just such a bad movie. It really is. I've never rewatched Black Widow. Not even once. I can't do it. I can't do it. I will not do it. And nobody can make me even it that way. If I ever have to do a rewatch for my own kids, I'll watch it then. But until then, I'll just set this one out, coach. Shang-Chi's an A film for sure. Shang-Chi was the first time it was after the pandemic. Me, my brother and my cousin had both all been going to the cinema to see Marvel movies since 2016. And we finally got back to see Shang-Chi after the pandemic, and I loved it. Like, I absolutely love this movie. I can't believe they haven't even announced a sequel yet. I can't believe it. You need to get this guy back in the game. I think he should be one of the main characters in Avengers Doomsday. I really do. I think it should be a lot more of a localized story with a smaller group of Avengers, and I think he should be one of them. So please bring him back. The martial arts in it, the effects, like the villain as well, that is the villain, one of the best MCU villain performances they've done. So please bring him back and get his second movie off the ground. Eternals. This is always the controversial one on the list. Let's just be honest. This is always the controversial one. I'm gonna go C. It's an average movie. Like, it is. I can rewatch it and enjoy it. I can enjoy average movies because I like certain things about it. Did it rush it? Yes. Like trying to tell an ensemble story about 10 characters who form a team or something. Like, trying to tell that in one movie is crazy. There's a reason the first Avengers movie succeeded. Everyone had their own movies outside of Hawkeye and Black Widow. Everyone had a movie, and they were introduced in that. Doing it in a movie is crazy. I think they should have maybe done a TV show for Eternals first, then launched a movie. Like, I had no problem with any of the fights. I had no problem with some of the double crosses that we did see. I had no problem with it. Like, I really didn't. I actually thought they were well executed. But like, it was too rushed. It really was. They were rushing through like dialogue about how they couldn't have helped in the last couple of thousand years. And it's just like, and you're just thinking, so you've been on there for a couple of thousand years and you're trying to cram it into a 2-hour movie? Come on. It just wasn't good enough. Then this movie came out literally like a month and a half later. This was the biggest event movie I have seen, probably even more than Endgame, probably, in terms of event movies. This is Spider-Man No Way Home is S tier, easy. Like, I think it would have been event tier even if Toby and Andrew didn't come back. I actually think that's how good the movie was. Doctor Strange was introduced in such a brilliant way. He wasn't even really introduced as a mentor. He was sort of on Peter's back the whole time. Andrew and Toby both were fantastic in this. Do not get me wrong. I think this movie perfectly rounded off Andrew's character. I think Andrew Garfield was the best actor in this movie. Green Goblin and Doc Ock were fantastic again. It's very risky bringing back characters like that who did have an end, who did nail it the first time. Bringing characters like that back is a risky move, and they nailed it. They 100% nailed it. So the whole movie is fantastic. It looks beautiful. The three Spider-Men working together is still probably top 5 MCU moments in my opinion, and I'm glad it made so much money. The one that disappointed me first in Phase 4 was really Doctor Strange. I know I didn't really like Eternals and Black Widow, but I wasn't expecting much from them. I was expecting everything from Multiverse of Madness. I know people say about that's what expectations do to people, like they sort of ruin the experience. I just think they should have just done better in terms of storytelling. If you look at, I'll put it at C first. If you look at the cameos in terms of like just cameos, number one, unlike No Way Home and unlike the recent Deadpool and Wolverine, they didn't serve the story. They were just there to be fodder for Black Widow. Number two, you had a director who doesn't know any of these characters. Sam Raimi himself has admitted even when he was doing the Spider-Man franchise, he didn't even know who Venom was. So how can you trust him to handle the likes of Reed Richards and Professor X and all properly? It wasn't going to happen. He probably didn't know who they were. It's like, I just think, people give Sam Raimi all the credit in the world, and don't get me wrong, the original Spider-Man trilogy is unbelievable. I love Evil Dead and everything like that, but he should not have been allowed near a 2021 MCU project, or 2022 this was. He shouldn't have been allowed near a current project. I seen people clamouring for him to be the director of Secret Wars. I was like, are you trying to be funny? The guy literally would not know who half the characters are. He would ruin it. I honestly think, see, even without the cameos, if that main story of Wanda chasing America Chavez through the multiverse and battling Strange, it's a very good story. But number one, Sam Raimi admitted he didn't even see WandaVision. So how is he going to write the character Wanda, not knowing what her motivations are? Kevin Feige was telling people, no, you don't have to see WandaVision before seeing this movie. Then are people going to be showing up thinking, when did Wanda have kids? What kids are you talking about? And why did Wanda go from being happy, I know she was reading the Darkhold, but being like happy and content at the end of WandaVision to being just an evil badass at the start of Doctor Strange? It was all just too colluded. It's lucky it's in C. I was close to putting it in D, to be honest. That's how much it annoyed me. I think if you didn't have Sam Raimi in charge of it, I think it would have been a better movie. I think if you had brought back the director from Doctor Strange 1, I think it would have been better. And no one will change my mind on that. For Love and Thunder. This is a tough one because like I personally, me, my cousin and my brother enjoyed the experience when we went to see this. We laughed a lot. But looking back on it now, I've watched it like 2 times since, we laughed too much. It was too much of a joke. This is because, and I will say this till my face goes blue, after Endgame, fans demanded that if the MCU was going to continue, that Kevin Feige had to let all these directors and movie makers have full control. The likes of Sam Raimi had to go full Sam Raimi, that's why you had all the jump scares. The likes of Taika had to go full Taika. And this and Doctor Strange were just perfect examples of why Kevin Feige should just be overseeing everything. He admitted himself he didn't get to be the executive producer on these types of movies at that time because obviously they were doing Disney Plus content as well. There was too much for him to keep an eye on, and he admitted he did drop the ball with this type of stuff, but he should have been able to trust these big name filmmakers. And in my opinion, he should never have trusted the likes of Taika and Sam Raimi to go full blown. I'm going to put this as C after rewatching it. If this came out in Phase 1, people would have a much higher opinion of it for sure, but they did make 4 out to be a joke. As I said, I think Natalie Portman's Jane Foster was the best in this movie. There was too much Korg, far too much Korg. Korg is a very funny character in perfect places. Too much Korg, and plus this is the first 4 movie that didn't have Tom Hiddleston's Loki in it, so I don't know if that had a big part to play as well. But personally, I don't think it was good enough. Taika, I'm glad he's not doing it anymore, and I'm glad that they've announced that 4 or 5 will be a lot more serious. But I am excited to see Hercules. And they did what do you call him? They did just dirty, killing him that easily. But he's not dead obviously, but they defeated him that easily. He should have had a bigger part. Black Panther Wakanda Forever. This is an A. Like, the emotional tone of this movie was fantastic. I thought it's not Riri Williams. I thought Shuri was fantastic in the movie. I thought they handled the passing of Chadwick Boseman with a lot of respect, a lot of heart, I think it was a very good film. I thought Namor was a brilliant villain, absolutely brilliant. They sort of flat out said he was like the second mutant introduced in the MCU. First one was obviously Miss Marvel. So they did it very well. The scenes of obviously the funeral and all were very heartbreaking. The fact that they had the swingers to kill off Angela Bassett's character as well, and I'm just sitting there thinking, you've already lost Chadwick Boseman, and now you're killing off the mother. I thought, fair enough. Like they're clearly setting up Suri because she obviously refused to be Queen of Wakanda at the end. They're setting her up to be a major player in the Avengers movies because she'll be able to dedicate all her time to being the Black Panther, which she'll be the first Black Panther that's been able to concentrate that much. I still don't know if I would have preferred to do some multiversal shenanigans and bring in Michael B. Jordan as a Killmonger version, but as we've seen from the What If episodes, that maybe wouldn't be for the best because all versions of Killmonger are evil at heart. Ant-Man Quantumania. This was the first one, like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, see, when I didn't see Black Widow in the cinema, I got it on Disney Plus. But every other movie in Phase 4 I'd watched in the cinema, and I came out feeling that was an average film, that was a decent film. Quantumania was the first time I came out of the cinema and thought, yeah, I don't know what they were doing. This is a D film, which it hurts me because, as I said, I love the Ant-Man films. They've got one at A, one at B, it's not bad. It did hurt me, like how bad it was. It was so CGI heavy. There was no practical effects. It was no longer a heist movie. It was just like basically an Avengers movie without the cast. The jokes weren't landing. The chemistry between Scott Lang and his older daughter wasn't there. Michael Douglas was phoning in the performance so much that the whole "I like ants" saying is a meme now. People keep saying, oh, Jonathan Majors was great in this movie. I just think he was average, to be honest. I think he was just the best part of a terrible project. That doesn't mean that you're good. That just means everybody else is terrible, and you're probably slightly terrible too. So, overall, I'm still not happy with it. I'm never going to be happy with it. I've rewatched it twice since, and I just can't give it a good rating here. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 S tier. Easily. Absolutely easily. James Gunn did nearly the impossible, and he ended off his Guardians trilogy perfectly. Every going into it, everybody was saying Rocket's gonna die, Drax is gonna die, Nebula's probably gonna die, and everyone expected that, and James Gunn still managed to provide an emotional, heart-pounding story without killing anybody, and they actually made you curse so much about like a CGI raccoon that it's nuts. And see the fact that they had people believing at the end Star-Lord was going to die. It's just the last second save him. Like, even the people in our cinema were like, what? Excuse me, you cannot be doing that. So I am glad that James Gunn got to finish off the trilogy after originally being fired and coming back. He should never have been fired in the first place. But I am happy he came back. He probably would have had a bigger role in Marvel if he had never been fired. He would have overseen more, and maybe some things like a Captain Marvel and all wouldn't have happened the way it happened, but because he was in charge of the cosmic side of things, he was the overseer, so maybe Marvel shot themselves in the foot, but we'll never know. But Guardians 3 is a perfect movie, the soundtrack is perfect as always. The Marvels, I'm not going to lie, I actually enjoyed the experience of the Marvels. I think the Marvels is better than Captain Marvel. I'm going to put the Marvels at C. I've rewatched it, I enjoyed it a second time as well. I like the chemistry between the three main actresses. I think there is very much good comedy in it. Like Nick Fury belongs in here a lot more than he belonged in the likes of Far From Home. I find the writing was a good bit better. The villain was terrible, I'm not gonna lie. The villain was terrible. Like a little bit of talk, and it's like, oh, like she's from here, and then Captain Marvel destroyed the sun off camera, and you're just like, okay, whatever. The cliffhanger alone should have got people to the cinema. Obviously, Monica Rambeau ended up in a parallel universe that runs alongside the MCU, so it is like 616 adjacent that has X-Men in it. That could be the thing that opens the door for MCU X-Men. If during Secret Wars, if that gets ripped open, they just pop over. we're done. We've got them. They're here to stay. So that alone, like that's not what makes it a C. I just enjoyed the movie, but the cliffhanger alone does make it a good, solid movie. And Deadpool and Wolverine, literally only seen it 2 weeks ago. It's well, nearly 2 weeks ago. It's made, I think, 824 million at this time of speaking. It should make 1.3 billion easy. It's an S tier. I'm sorry, it is. It's like, I'm actually surprised that the person who created this list didn't just put Deadpool 1 and 2 on this list, because it's all joint now. Like, we've seen all the characters now. Vanessa, like Peter, we've seen them all in the third one, and they were in the first two. But it's definitely an S tier movie. I don't even know where I'm going to begin in terms of organising this. Deadpool and Wolverine, I've said it all in the review, so go check that out. It was non-stop laughs. The cameos were, you can't even call them cameos, they were all supporting characters. Every returning character was used perfectly. It left a lot of question marks over the MCU. Is Shannon Tatum the new Gambit? Is Daphne King going to be the MCU's Wolverine? I think she should be. I don't think anybody should go near Logan, like the role. I think that it'd be career suicide, because no one's matching up to Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman is Logan now, forever. Until he's 90, and then it should be Daphne King. But overall, I think it should just be the same. So I would say that Winter Soldier would be first. This is really tough. I tried to tell a few people that Deadpool and Wolverine would possibly be my top 5. I'm thinking maybe just in the top 10. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 11, so it does have to go ahead of 1. Iron Man definitely isn't in my top 10. I know that. Avengers 1 isn't. Guardians 1 probably is. I think Endgame needs to be higher. Infinity War needs to be higher. I would say, yeah, that's probably fine. Ragnarok's probably fine. I think No Way Home's the top 5. Right. I'm trying to work out that I like Guardians 3 more than I like Guardians 1. It's a tough one. So that would make Deadpool and Wolverine 7th. That's not bad, considering it only just came out. 7th on my list. Iron Man would be back there. Avengers 1 probably fine back there. I'm one of the ones who enjoyed Endgame more than Infinity War. I can admit Infinity War is a better paced movie, but Endgame was everything to me. I've seen Endgame multiple times in the cinema, and I don't usually do that. No Way Home. No Way Home's fine there. I think that's fine. I think that's a fine list. That's it, guys. That's my new list. I know I said I wanted to do it quick, but I know full well this is taking forever. Comment down below your own highest movies. We're probably going to do a tier list probably once every 6 months, because I rewatch these movies frequently when I'm exercising or when I've got free time. So I will have a different opinion probably every time we do a list. I'll also wait until we've had a good few more movies. You might not see another one for maybe a year, because then we'll have Captain America 4, Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four to put in one. But thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all the stuff you guys like to do, and I shall see you on the next one.